mental demographic on the planet, and I feel like it's, everybody is defending their position for the most part. It's the stakes are extremely high, and the way in which you do things has to be the right way to do things, because if not, you're admitting that you're ruining your kids. So, but if what you're talking about is in terms of the specifics of me being with being in a same-sex couple, not so much. I mean, I'm lucky that I live in Los Angeles, and I think that in a lot of the big urban cities, it's become so commonplace that really the discussions start to be far more about what you do, how you do it, what ruins your kids, what doesn't, what to feed them, what not to feed them, where they should go to school, where they shouldn't go to school, whether to sleep train, whether not to sleep train, all those things and how that will impact them as adults. That fed my anxiety and and really is where I find the most judgmental conversations coming. Once in a while, I think I write about this in the book, in one story. I had an experience with another family where I had what became what I called the affirmative action program, where I found that the only reason they chose us to have this sort of family play date with them is because they liked the idea that their family would be friends with a family where there's two dads. It had really nothing to do with me or Don or my kids, but it had to do with this idea that, like, I'd like to be the kind of person that has brunch with two dads. I find that a lot, where you can't really say, like, do you really like me, or do you like the fact that I'm gay? You don't say that often to people, but it suddenly dawns on you. You'll be at this thing, and in that particular, wind up asking me if, when we're ever having their kids over to our house for a play date, if it would be okay if we never showed any signs of affection, public displays of affection. Now, we don't really anyway, but boy, did I want to once they said that. I was like, what? Let me just make sure I know what you're saying. You're asking me, you're hoping that if we have, I'm sure Stella was her name or something like that, because there's 9 Stellas in Eliza's class. If we have her over, you just want to make sure that she doesn't ever see anything, inappropriate. Like anybody would ever do anything inappropriate in front of their kids anyway. I find those kinds of subtle jabs that they don't even realize and they think they're being really politically correct, those are the worst. But in terms of blatant judgment, those usually come from not having the right kind of car seat. I find, at least in LA.